Everything going good in Payson?
Yes, sir.
Looks like we have a
We're
few
ready to
people
go.
there. That's nice. Okay, good. And then Sam, everything's ready to go. Okay. Good morning. I would like to say before we start, we have Mr. Joe Alba will be sitting in for our legal representation. We're glad to have you. There's Mr. Dalton is retiring soon, and so there's some scheduling things. And we know Jessica's also kind of busy with babies right now, so we're very happy to have him. So, okay, so it is May 7th. It's 10 a.m. 2024, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. And if you would, let's all stand. I've asked Roy Sandoval to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and then Mr. Montague will lead our prayer.
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, we're thankful for this day, and we're thankful that the Board of Supervisors is able to meet and that they will have time to discuss what is best for the county. And we ask thee to please have your spirit to be with them, to help them discern what is best and to have wise discussions on what is needed to do. And say these things in the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Okay, once again, good morning, everyone. We have a pretty good list, so we're going to get started right away. Item 2A is a presentation by the Arizona Auditor General's Office regarding Gila County's fiscal year 2022 financial and single audit results and findings. And to start things off, we have Maren.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Supervisor Klein, Supervisor Humphrey. I guess we're starting the day off with a typo. This is the summary of the county's fiscal year 2023 annual audit, annual financial report and audit. And I'd like to introduce Melanie Chesney from the Auditor General's Office, as well as Dan Hunt. They will be presenting this morning's presentation.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman Christensen, members of the board, and County Manager Menlove. I am Melanie Chesney, Deputy Auditor General and Acting Director of the Financial Audit Division. I'm going to be presenting behind you. Thank you for having our office join your regular meeting today to present our audit results and findings for Gila County. Joining me today is Michelle Walters, Financial Audit Manager, and Dan Hunt, Financial Deputy Manager. Before we discuss the county's audits, I wanted to refresh your memory on the Arizona Auditor General's background. The office is a legislative agency made up of nonpartisan staff. We provide impartial information and specific recommendations to improve the operations and programs of state and local governments, which includes Gila County. We are well-versed and follow several standards, including governmental auditing standards. Similar to our previous presentations with the board, we are here today in accordance with Arizona Revised Statutes 11661D, which directs the county board to require its auditors, our office, to present audit results and any findings to the board in a regular meeting without the use of a consent agenda within 90 days of the audit's completion. This is a great opportunity for us, your auditors, to be in front of you to provide information about our work and to answer any questions that you may have. Now I will turn over the presentation to Michelle.
Good morning.
Okay, good morning. Okay, good morning, Chairman Christensen, members of the board, and County Manager Menlove. Before I begin, I would like to thank all the county staff for their prompt attention to our request. Together with the county, we established a report issuance deadline of March 29, 2024. And due to the county's responsiveness, we will be able to meet this deadline. So thank you for your efforts in providing us with our requested information when needed. Today we will be discussing our 3 required annual reports: the financial statement audit, or the annual financial report, the report on internal control and on compliance, and the federal single audit report. As we've done in the past, we've emailed each of you the links to these reports on March 29, 2024, when your annual reports were completed and issued together. The first report, the county's annual financial report, presents the annual financial statements and our opinion on them. The objective of the audit is to obtain reasonable assurance about whether financial statements as a whole are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error, and to issue a report that includes our opinions. It's wonderful to report that for fiscal year 2023, we reported an unmodified or clean opinion, which means the county's financial statements are reliable. The second report, the report on internal control and on compliance, is where we report any findings and recommendations resulting from our audit of the county's financial statements. This report included 5 findings that Dan will go over with you shortly. Finally, the third report, the federal single audit report, includes our assessment of the county's compliance with federal requirements over each federal program we're required to audit, and a report on internal control over compliance with federal programs. The objective of these audits is to obtain reasonable assurance about whether material noncompliance with the compliance requirements occurred, whether due to fraud or error, and express an opinion on the county's compliance based on our audit. We reported 1 finding for fiscal year 2023 that Dan will review with you shortly. Reasonable assurance is a high but not absolute level of assurance. Our audits are performed following government auditing standards and federal uniform guidance, but there is no guarantee that they will always detect material misstatement or noncompliance. Material means the considerable likelihood that individually or in total, the misstatements or noncompliance would influence a reasonable person's judgment. Further, the risk of not identifying noncompliance and material misstatements is higher due to fraud than from error, because fraud may involve a collaborative effort to commit fraud, management not using internal controls, and other factors. We did not identify any fraud in the fiscal year 2023 audits of the county. Because we know these reports can be detailed and complex, we also prepare audit report highlights, which is a 2-page summary that you received with the reports. The highlights include county's largest primary revenue sources and how the county used those monies over the last 10 years, as well as our key findings and recommendations. I would like to take an opportunity to present some key financial information for the county over the last 5 years included in the highlights. The county's 4 main sources of revenue consist of federal and state grants and programs, county property taxes, shared state sales taxes, and county sales taxes. As you can see from the graph, the county's revenues for property taxes, shared state sales taxes, and county sales taxes have gradually increased over the last 5 years. Federal and state grants substantially increased starting in fiscal year 21 because of increased federal grant revenue directed towards the COVID-19 pandemic relief. Overall, total county revenues increased $11.4 million from the prior fiscal year. As you can see from this graph, over the past 5 years, the county's 4 primary expense purposes consist of general government, public safety, health and welfare, and highways and streets. While health and welfare and highways and streets expenditures remained relatively constant between fiscal years 22 and fiscal year 23, the general government expense increase of $5.7 million from fiscal year 22 to fiscal year 23 was due to progress on ARPA-funded projects and the Local Assistance and Tribal Consistency Fund, which was a new federal program for fiscal year 23. Finally, public safety expenditures decrease of $4.3 million from fiscal year 22 to fiscal year 2023 was primarily due to a decrease in expenditures related to the flood mitigation efforts related to the Telegraph fire. Overall, total county expenses increased $5.8 million from the prior fiscal year. Okay. On this slide, we highlight the 5-year trend of the county's revenues shown in light blue, exceeding the expenses shown in dark blue. As you can see from the black line, the county's net position has increased every year since fiscal year 2019. Most importantly, the county's overall net position increased by $11.4 million from fiscal year 22 to fiscal year 23 because revenues continue to exceed expenditures. Total net position for the county was $39.6 million as of June 30th, 2023, which was an increase of $22.1 million or 126% since 2019. It is important to note that not all net position balance was spendable at the end of the fiscal year, because $38.4 million is invested in capital assets, and the remaining balance was subject to external restrictions such as grants and contracts. The county had an unrestricted balance of negative $35 million at the end of fiscal year 23. Finally, I would like to highlight the county's federal expenditures that are presented each year in the single audit report. Although the county received grants from 12 federal agencies during the fiscal year 23, you can see from the table that most of its federal expenditures were from the U.S. Department of Treasury, the Department of Health and Human Services, and the Department of Agriculture. And specifically for the Department of Treasury, those expenditures were to the Coronavirus State and Local Fiscal Recovery Fund and the Local Assistance and Tribal Consistency Fund. You can also see that the county has consistently had a large portion of federal expenditures from the Department of Health and Human Services for the last 5 years. So now I will turn it over to Dan, who will be discussing the county's fiscal year 2023 financial and single audit findings. Thank you.
Good morning.
Okay. Our financial audit findings can be found in the report on internal controls and on compliance, along with the county's responses to them. We reported 5 financial findings for fiscal year 2023. It is important to note that the county corrected 1 financial statement finding from a prior year audit that initially occurred in fiscal year 2013 by completing its capital asset inventory and reconciling it to its capital assets records. In addition, county management revised its IT policies and procedures and began implementing them during 2023, which reduced the number of IT recommendations. I would like to compliment the IT staff and management for their development of some of the best IT policies and procedures that I have personally reviewed. Just commend them on that. Our first financial statement finding identified deficiencies in the county's process for awarding 27 economic development awards to community, nonprofit, and governmental organizations. That is to ensure that the $135,461 paid to these organizations was used only for activities that benefited the public. While the county has developed written policies and procedures, they did not include pre-award or follow-up steps to ensure that the monies spent were done as intended or monies were returned if unspent. We recommended that the county management should improve its policies and procedures for awarding and monitoring discretionary monies used for economic development and include pre-award and follow-up steps to include detailed guidelines and requirements that all award recipients must meet to qualify for economic development award monies. For example, the county's policies should describe acceptable award uses. Further, the county should create an award application where entities would be required to describe their intended uses, such as service and activity goals, expected outcomes, and performance measures, and provide sufficiently detailed budgets indicating how and when the requested funds would be used. Require awarded entities to report and certify how the monies were spent. This report and certification should be required periodically or at least once during the specified approved time frame for expending the monies. And require awarded entities to return any unexpended or misspent monies. A similar finding has been reported since fiscal year 2017, and the county reported it concurs with the finding and plans to correct the deficiencies by June 30th, 2024. The second financial finding identified deficiencies in the county's procurement or purchasing card review and approval process. Specifically, the county did not review and approve or ensure appropriate support was obtained for $99,755 of public monies its employees spent on various purchasing card expenditures. in categories such as building and home improvement materials, equipment rental, and leasing to ensure they were for authorized purposes necessary for official county business, resulting in a risk that possible misuse of public monies or potential violation of state constitution. Specifically, for 42 of the 52 purchasing card transactions we tested, the county paid for the purchases prior to ensuring they were for an authorized purpose as follows. 10 transactions totaling $9,243 were not reviewed and approved by the assigned county department supervisor. 32 transactions totaling $90,512 lacked the required supporting documentation, including to support the purchase was for an authorized county purchase. And in addition, $44,329 of the $90,512 purchases lacked supporting documentation did not obtain a minimum of 3 written quotes as required by county policy. Therefore, we recommend that the county update its existing policies and procedures for purchasing card expenditures to specify a time frame when department supervisors are expected to review and approve purchasing card transactions, what supporting documentation is required, and specify penalties for purchasing card holders who violate county policies. Require department supervisors responsible for reviewing and approving purchasing card transactions to approve those transactions that are supported by documentation that evidence purchases are for authorized county purposes, and to do so prior to the county paying for them. Require its finance department to develop and implement a process to monitor department's compliance with the county's policies, and train county employees who are purchasing card holders and department supervisors on its policies and procedures for using purchasing cards. A similar finding over purchasing cards has been reported since 2017, and the county reported it concurs with the finding and expects to correct these recommendations by June 30th, 2024. The third financial statement finding identified deficiencies in the county's process for managing and documenting its information technology risks. Specifically, the county's process for managing and documenting its risks did not include identifying, classifying, and inventorying sensitive information that might need stronger access and security controls. We recommend the county administration and IT management should plan for where to allocate resources and where to implement critical controls. Ask regional administrative officials, management over finance, IT, and other functions to input on the county's process for managing risk. Perform an annual entity-wide risk assessment process that includes evaluating and documenting risks and safeguards, and evaluate management risks holding sensitive information by identifying, classifying, and inventorying the information the county holds to assess whether stronger access and security controls are needed to protect the data in accordance with state statutes and federal guidelines. A similar finding has been reported since fiscal year 2014. The county continues to work toward implementing our prior recommendations. It concurred with our finding and it reported it's anticipating correcting these deficiencies by June 30th, 2024. Our fourth financial statement finding identified deficiencies in the county's control over its IT systems. Our report identified several recommendations, including what the county should continue to implement its comprehensive written IT policies and procedures and ensure they are being followed. Remove access for terminated employees or modify access if employees' roles or responsibilities are changed, and periodically perform reviews to ensure access to its systems and data remains appropriate and necessary. A similar finding was reported in fiscal year 2014. As discussed earlier, county management and IT staff developed and began implementing its comprehensive policies and procedures during 2023, and we are very appreciative to Kerry Barton and Daryl Griffin for their assistance in our test work over those new revised policies and procedures. The county anticipates fully correcting these deficiencies by June 30th, 2024. Our fifth and final financial statement finding found the county did not obtain 1 of 15 elected officials and 32 of 508 employee conflict of interest questionnaires, contrary to county policy. We recommend the county's management monitor all elected officials and employees to provide an annual conflict of interest questionnaire after it's initially requested and follow up with those who do not do so to ensure it obtains a questionnaire for everyone. The county reported this finding would be fully corrected by March 31st, 2024. Our federal compliance findings are reported in the fiscal year 2023 single audit report. First, the county corrected 3 of 4 prior year single audit deficiencies that related to late issuance of the single audit report, timely and accurately reporting of the COVID-19 community programs to improve minority health grant program, and a procurement noncompliance for the COVID-19 coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds program. However, similar to prior year finding number 2022-103, we reported a federal compliance finding related to a reporting for the COVID-19 coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds program. Specifically, we found that the county's finance department did not review and approve all 4 federal progress reports prior to submitting them to the federal agency to ensure they were accurate. We recommended that the county management should develop policies and procedures requiring the department to perform and document an independent review and approval of all federal program reports before submitting them to the federal agency to ensure the reports are accurate, agree to county records, and contain only allowable expenditures. County management should also adjust or resubmit reports for detected errors on reports that the department already submitted to the federal agency, so it is informed of the errors on previously submitted reports. Finally, county management should train department employees responsible for preparing and reviewing the reports on what information to gather to prepare the reports and on the county's policies and procedures. A similar finding was previously reported in fiscal year 2022, and the county reported it concurs with the finding and plans to implement our recommendations by June 30th, 2024. This completes our presentation of the county's fiscal year 23 audit reports and associated findings. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions.
Supervisor Klein.
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay, thank you for your report. I have one question. You mentioned that sometimes there's a failure to show that 3 bids were not obtained for a particular project. What if you cannot get 3 bids? Let's say you work at it and you can only get 2.
I would say just document it in the file. They would need to document the process that they attempted to follow policy, and that was
Okay.
documented.
So-
We did not find any documentation
Okay,
supporting that.
so it's really a lot of what you're saying is a matter of having the appropriate papers that indicate what we're doing. So, okay. Thank you for your presentation. Any more? Yes, Mr. Menla.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to express appreciation to the Arizona Office of the Auditor General. As you know, when this Board of Supervisors came on board, we were behind in our audits, almost unauditable. There were significant fiscal challenges with Gila County. Through your dedication and devotion of your resources to Gila County, you acknowledged it at the beginning, Ms. Chesney, that the report was issued on March 29th, which was a few days before the end of the year and the deadlines required. Mr. Hunt, you just acknowledged that several of the findings that we had for being late and tardy in prior years, that those deficiencies that come from that have been addressed. So thank you to the Auditor General and all that you've done to help Gila County and work with us and help us correct deficiencies through these years. And while this board is set, and the Board of Supervisors had made it very clear that they expect Gila County to be current with our audits, that we address the findings. So thank you, Mr. Hunt, for bringing those to our attention, that we can be addressed. And I know that Ms. Belling in the Finance Department, and as you mentioned, the IT Department, Ms. Bartling, that we take them seriously and want to address them sometimes with a lot. I can't say a super large organization, but we do have over 500 employees. Our budget for this year, $150 million, that it takes a consistent and profound effort to be able to correct some of these deficiencies. But they are important to us, and we intend to address all of them and overcome them. But again, thank you for coming. Thank you for your presentation, and thank you for your partnership with Gila County to help us improve and help us. As was demonstrated, our financial position continues to improve, and we are improving in every way fiscally, I believe. So thank you.
I'd also like to thank Chairman Christensen, members of the board, and Manager Menlove, and the staff that we participated. We have a good working relationship, a professional relationship with them, and we look forward to working them again in fiscal year 2024 audits. Thank you.
Thank you. It's good to hear that we're consistently improving. Our staff is really working hard on it, and that we're getting praised from the Auditor General along with recommendations. So thank you for that. All right, let's move right along to item 2B, presentation of Gila County General Fund financial data as it compares to the fiscal year 2024, the Gila County budget in fiscal years 2023, 22, 21, 20, and 19 year-to-date performance. Aaron?
Good morning again, Mr. Chair, Supervisor Klein, Supervisor Humphrey. This morning we are here with our year-to-date performance through the end of February 2024 and how that compares to the prior 4 fiscal years. As you can see, our general fund revenues were at 54% of the annual budget compared to an 8-month target of 67%. In total, fiscal year 2024 year-to-date revenues are $2.4 million more than the same time frame in the prior fiscal year. It is notable that overage amount is entirely attributable to the Arizona Department of Veterans Services grant that we've received. Without that, year-to-date revenues would be $600,000 less than the prior year. As far as expenditures go, general fund expenditures, and including encumbrances as of February 29th, are at 63% of the budget compared to an 8-month target of 67%. Total expenditures are $3.5 million more than the prior year at the same time, and those year-over-year increases are almost 50% attributable to salaries and employee-related expenses, which is in part due to the salary plan and in part due to restructuring how our reporting system is working in New World so that you get more accurate reporting. And then we have some bond fees and interest that are showing higher in 2024 than prior years due to timing. Utilities, again, those are showing higher in the general fund due to a restructure. And then support and care of persons, which is our Altex and Access, which is the long-term care, and the Arizona cost containment for healthcare systems. Those are $264,000 higher than the prior year. These are all expected expenditures, and Gila County departments continue to align with the Gila County strategic plan and its priorities, including responsible resource management and robust communication. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Marin. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no question.
Supervisor Klein.
Marin, I'm good, thank you.
Thank you, Marin. Excellent. All right. And so with that, we also have a presentation 2C regarding the results of the March 29th, 2024 online auction held by Public Surplus on behalf of Gila County for the sale of surplus or obsolete county vehicles and equipment. Marin.
Yes, good morning. We had our public surplus auction on March 29th, 2024. It was held online this year in contrast to prior year's live auctions. It was advertised as required by statute, and this year we received about $70,000 in successful bids on these items, and all but 3 of the items sold. Those 3 items were pulled out of the auction for clerical concerns. So everything that was listed did sell, and we look forward to being able to use this approach in the future. This does compare to about a $25,000 live auction in our last go-round. So it was significantly more successful, and we had a substantial number of out-of-state purchasers, which was interesting.
Great. Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, the length of the auction, was it like a day? You had a day to get on and bid, or 3 days to get on and bid, or just, like you said, it was online, so I'm just wondering the length that people had to participate.
I would have to double check with staff on that and get back to you. I don't exactly recall how long it was.
Okay, yeah, I mean, if it was just a day, that's okay, whether it was 4 hours or 10 hours, it doesn't matter. But I was just wondering if people had maybe a couple days to check their bid and stay with the product, I guess.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Humphrey, it was over a several-day process. I went online and looked at it, and it was open and available for bids over a several-day process.
Okay,
May have been even up to a week, but it was at least several days.
okay,
I'll report back to your staff and let you know
Okay, thank
exactly
you.
how long that was.
thank you. Supervisor Clay.
Marin, was it easier putting this online auction together versus a live auction?
That's not really something that I can quantify. It took fewer staff members.
Okay, cool. It sounded like it did really well, so thank you.
Mr. Chair, one more question, if you don't mind. Also, too, it seemed to me that they got all of the merchandise at one place prior to the auction. And if they were gonna have it online, I was wondering about the benefit of getting it all in one place, if it was gonna be a sale online, because most of the viewing and stuff would have been online instead of being able to walk, kick tires. I was just wondering going forward if that's necessary to get everything and haul everything to Payson for the sale when it's gonna be an online sale.
So this location was specifically the Star Valley Impound Yard. Those items were largely already there. There were a few items that got moved there. They were largely already there, and we really needed to get them moved out so that we can move forward with a project and program to secure the Star Valley Yard with a new fencing project. And in order to do that, this the surplus material needed to get moved out to increase security. With advertising it in the newspaper for a month ahead of the auction, we included Sergeant High Street's phone number. Anyone interested was more than welcome to contact Sergeant High Street and make an appointment to kick tires, as it were, or to see the items in person. And in order to maintain the integrity of capital asset control, which the Auditor General's just shared with you is a key resolved finding for Gila County. It's important that the person who has the keys and the person that has the title is in one place, so that we can make sure that the person who actually obtains the item gets the keys and the title. And when we had live auctions, we did actually have someone depart with a vehicle and had to enlist the assistance of law enforcement to return that vehicle. So while I understand that it could be perceived that it was inefficient to have everything in one place, we did not have to enlist law enforcement assistance to retrieve anything this time. So
Okay.
that's an improvement.
Yeah, that's fine, just
And
ask and
chasing
answer.
people to Tonto Basin is not a finance skill set.
Okay. Okay, ask and answered, thank you.
Thank you. So 70,000, that's a good amount. Does that go to our general fund, or does that go into the sheriff's department?
It goes to wherever if it was something that we purchased, it goes to wherever that was originally purchased. If it's general fund, it goes to general fund. So, right, so if you purchased it out of like RICO funds, the money would have to go back to the RICO funds and following along those lines.
Okay, so, but if it's a confiscated by the sheriff's department for
It still goes to general fund.
general fund? Okay. All right, thank you, Mary.
You're welcome.
All right. So let's start then our public hearing section. 3A, information, discussion, and action, or action to adopt resolution number 24-05-01 to name East Tonto Creek Bridge Road in the Tonto Basin area. Mr. Homan.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Yeah, this item came about during the construction process of the bridge. The original construction documents said that the Greenback Valley Road that is on the east side of Tonto Creek would be carried all the way back to the highway. That ended up with the net result that there are a number of residents behind the Pumpkin Center Bar that have Greenback Valley Road addresses that would sort of strand them. So since the bridge isn't open yet, we felt it was relevant to name the bridge going back to the highway. That way we don't negatively inconvenience the residents by changing their addresses.
Okay,
That, if you have questions.
sure. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions, makes sense to me.
Supervisor Klein?
I'm good, Tom, thanks.
Okay, with that, I'll open up the public hearing. Is there anyone here in Globe that wishes to speak to that? Or in Payson?
No, sir.
And Cassandra? No, close the public hearing and call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt resolution number 24-05-01.
And Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Okay, motion to approve and seconded. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you. Item 3B, information discussion action to adopt resolution 24-05-02 to name East Gypsy Road in the Tonto Basin area.
Good morning again. Yes, on this item, development within Tonto Basin, minor land division, that sort of stuff, has created the need for a road. This one's been going back and forth for a couple of years because since we like to involve the constituency, we just couldn't come to agreement to a name that finally occurred. So we are presenting East Gypsy Road for your consideration.
Okay, Supervisor Humphrey?
So you're saying there's no complaints on the name of,
Correct.
okay, I have no
Yeah.
further questions.
Two of the residents were some brothers, and they wanted to name it after the family name, where the other resident that owned multiple parcels did not. So we were just in a holding pattern until they got to their liking.
Okay. Thank you.
Supervisor Klein?
I'm good, thanks.
Okay, with that, I will open it up to public hearing. Anyone in Globe wish to speak to this item? No? In Payson?
No, sir.
On the internet? No. With that, I'll close the public hearing and call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 24-05-02.
I'll second that.
Motion and second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. Item 3C, information discussion action to adopt resolution number 24-05-03 to name West Accuracy Trail in Tonto Basin. Tom?
Yes. Again, more land splitting in the Tonto Basin on the east side of the creek. We had named before the Board of Supervisors back in 2022 Accuracy Way, and a recent parcel split into 5 pieces. Since it came off there, we figured while we try to have no duplication of names, because Accuracy Way was already there, it would not impede 911 access by having Accuracy Trail next to it. So we're presenting this for your consideration.
Supervisor Humphrey?
I don't have an issue with it.
Supervisor Klein?
I'm good.
Me as well. With that, I'll close the discussion and open it up for public hearings. Anyone in Globe? Anyone in Payson?
No, sir.
Cassandra? Okay, fine. Then I'll close that and call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt resolution number 24-05-03.
And Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. Item 3D, information discussion action to adopt resolution number 24-05-04 to name East Perkins Store Lane in Young.
Woo-hoo. Yes, sir. The store, if you've driven through the Young area, was across the street from Antlers, just a little bit south of the county yard. And the property owners, as part of their splitting of the properties,
wanted to recognize the store history. So put forth that name, we had no objection, so now we're here before you.
Supervisor Humphrey,
I have no questions.
Supervisor Klein.
I'm good, thank you, Tom.
Oh, I'll close that and open it up to public hearing. Anyone in Globe? Anyone in Payson?
No, sir.
Cassandra, we're good. Thank you. I'll close that and then call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to adopt resolution number 240504.
I'll second that.
Motion to adopt and seconded. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your consideration.
It'd be great if we could clump those all together, wouldn't it? All right, moving on to agenda item 4, regular agenda items. 4A, information discussion action to approve modification number 3 to cooperative law enforcement agreement number 21-LE-1103-1200-038 between the Gila County Sheriff's Office and the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Forest Service, to added funding in the amount of $74,800 for the performance period of the last signature through February 1st, 2026, and change the cooperator name from Gila County to Gila County, Arizona to match the SAM registration. And I believe we have Sarah White in Payson.
Yeah, good morning, Chairman, members of the board. This is the annual Forest Service agreement that you guys approve every year for the Sheriff's Office. This provides reimbursement funding for any of the enforcement and stuff we do out on the Forest Service roads throughout the county. It'll be in the amount of $74,800. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Sarah. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions.
Supervisor Klein.
Neither do I. Thank you, Sarah.
Yes, thank you. And with that, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve modification number 3 to cooperative law enforcement agreement number 21-LE-1103-1200-038 between Gila County Sheriff's Office, U.S. Department of Agriculture, Forest Service as presented.
And Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Motion to approve and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item passes unanimous. 4B, information discussion action to approve an intergovernmental agreement between Pinal County Schools and Gila County Schools to have all school-age children from Gila County that are detained in the Pinal County Youth Justice Center detention to be served by Pinal
County.
Pinal County Schools through Hope School during the period of their detention in the Pinal County Youth Justice Center detention for the period of July 1, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. Mr. Sandoval.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Board of Supervisors. This is an annual MOU and intergovernmental agreement. In 2017, we began to send our school-age children to Pinal County to receive educational services. It has been a good relationship. It is certainly much more beneficial for them educationally because they have the numbers there so that they're able to retain full-time teachers, full-time special ed, full-time services. So I would just recommend that we continue that relationship if you'll approve that. And I'll take questions.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions.
Supervisor Klein.
Roy, how many kids do we have in there on an average?
You know what? I don't know, and the reason is I'm not notified when they're transported.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's not a regular notification
Gotcha.
in the process. It goes right from the sheriff's office to Pinal County.
Okay.
So I'm sorry. I
No,
can
it's
find
good.
out.
No, that's good. I'm just curious, so thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Roy. With that, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve an intergovernmental agreement between Pinal County Schools and Gila County Schools as presented.
I'll second that.
A motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Roy, I think you also have the next one. Item 4C,
Oh, this is MOU, I'm sorry. Yes, it is.
information, discussion, action to approve a memorandum of understanding between the Pinal County School Superintendent, Gila County School Superintendent, and Pinal County Superior Court presiding juvenile court judge, and the Gila County Superior Court presiding juvenile court judge agreeing that Pinal County will be the county of jurisdiction for Pinal County's Youth Justice Center Detention Education Program, which will serve Gila County school-age children during the period of their detention at the Pinal County Youth Justice Center.
Thank you. Same concept,
Mhm.
same population, same services, same relationship.
Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions.
Supervisor Klein.
Thank you, Roy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roy. With that, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve a memorandum of understanding between the Pinal County School Superintendent, Gila County School Superintendent, Pinal County Superior Court presiding juvenile court judge, and Gila County Superior Court presiding juvenile court judge as presented.
And Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
So we have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Roy.
Thank you.
Now you can go. Item 4D, information, discussion, action to authorize the submittal of the Superior Court's fiscal year 24, quote, fill the gap, unquote, grant application to the Administrative Office of the Courts in the amount of $18,641 for audiovisual upgrades to 2 courtrooms in Globe. And we have Mr. Barrett.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I actually have the next 2 items. They're very closely related, so a lot of the information in my briefing will pertain to both of those. Both of these items are part of our initiative to move digital evidence forward. Digital evidence is exactly what it sounds like. The vast majority of evidence is documents, sometimes video footage and images. We do have physical exhibits, guns, drugs, stuff like that, but we manage a lot of paper. Digital evidence, once it's fully operational, will mitigate some of the costs of paper exhibits and the maintenance of those same exhibits. That benefits not only the courts, clerk of court's office, obviously the county attorney and the indigent defense attorneys as well. So the quote, which is the subject of the next item, was obtained after a full day of analysis with court staff and Gila County IT. I wanted to thank them. I see that Carrie left, but her team was very helpful in helping us size this up. And the quote is from a group called Technology Providers Incorporated. They're the subject of the financial agreement in the next agenda item. And jumping ahead, perhaps, if you'll allow it, the TPI quote is for a total of $65,000, thereabouts. And this grant will provide $18,641 towards that cost. And then we also obtain $20,000 from the clerk of court's office to contribute towards that $65,000 total. So this grant application in front of you is part of that funding scheme. And I'll take any questions.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions.
Supervisor Klein.
I really don't either, Jonathan. It just looks like a good way to work towards, so
Yes.
thank you.
Yes, thank you. And with that, I'll call for motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to authorize the submittal of the Superior Court's fiscal year FY24 Fill the Gap grant application to the Administrative Office of the Courts as presented.
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Motion and a second to approve. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimous. Item 4E, information, discussion, action to approve the use of contract agreement number GSA 47QTCA24D007E with Technology Providers Incorporated to provide audiovisual upgrades to the Globe Superior Court courtrooms in the amount not to exceed $65,201.59.
So this is the technical contract for the vendor to perform the enhancements and upgrades that we'll need to operate digital evidence. Again, thanks to GCIT and also to Mr. Minlove for helping us get this thing moving forward. I calculate after the grant application that you just approved, in addition to the special revenue funding from the clerk's office, that the county's share of that $65,000 price tag would be about $26,560. I'll take any questions.
Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions.
Supervisor Klein.
I'm good, thank you, Johnson.
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you very much. So with that, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the use of contract agreement number GSA 47QTCA 24D007E with Technology Providers Incorporated as presented.
And Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Johnson.
Thank you.
Item 4F, information discussion action to approve amendment number 3 to contract number 012021-2 with GH2 Architects to extend the contract through December 31st, 2024 for a not to exceed contract amount of $200,000. And we have Melissa.
Hello.
Hi.
Good morning, Chairman, Board of Supervisors. On March 21st, 2023, the Board of Supervisors approved Amendment Number 2, Professional Service Contract Number 012021-2. This amendment increased the contract amount by $100,000, bringing the total contract amount to $200,000 and extended the contract until May 3rd, 2024. We are pleased to propose the final amendment number 3 to Professional Services Contract 012021-2 with GH2 Architects. This amendment proposes to extend the contract date until December 31, 2024, which will allow for the successful completion of the design phase for several capital projects. We are committed to delivering these projects on time and within budget, which is why the cost will remain unchanged and is approved up to a maximum of $200,000. The Facilities and Land Management Department staff recommend that the Board of Supervisors approve Amendment Number 3 to Professional Services Contract Number 012021-2 with GH2 Architects to extend the contract date to December 31, 2024. This will allow GH2 Architects to continue to provide necessary project support, allowing for the completion of several ongoing Gila County capital projects.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions.
Supervisor Klein.
Lisa, which projects are they working on? Do you know?
There is the Fairgrounds Improvements Project is the one that they're finishing up on.
Okay, that's the one they're finishing up?
Yes.
And then do they have any new ones in the works, or?
Not under this contract, no.
No, okay, so, and then we increased the contract, $100,000 on this when we did it?
We did in 2023, yes.
Okay, okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm good. Thank you so much
Okay.
for that. And with that, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve amendment number 3 to contract number 012021-2 with GH2 Architects as presented.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Okay, good. We have a motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Item 4G, information, discussion, action to receive an update on the activities of the Pinal Gila Council for Senior Citizens and approve agreement number 03152024 with the Senior Citizens Council, whereby the county will disperse $165,000. And further, the board finds and determines this is for the benefit to provide services to persons with disabilities and aged persons within Gila County. We have both Maren and then we have Anna Medina.
Good morning again, Mr. Chair, Supervisor Klein, Supervisor Humphrey. Annually, we receive an update from the Pinal Gila Council for Senior Citizens on how their services are positively affecting the elderly and other eligible persons in our community. And with that, I'll hand it over to him. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning, Chairman Christensen and Supervisor Klein, Supervisor Humphries. I'm back here again to provide you our annual presentation. Anna Medina with Pinal Gila Council for Senior Citizens. And we're going to go through and give you some outcomes related to the funding that we receive annually from you to fund nutrition programs with the centers that we contract with here in in Gila County. Make sure I know how to use this. Okay, so for the funding breakdown, we receive $65,000 in funding for last fiscal year, which is the period of July 1st, 22 through June 30th, 23. The funding is specifically allocated to fund home-delivered meal programs as well as congregate meals and case management services for Gila County. All of the individuals that receive home-delivered meal service through our contracted senior centers must be case managed. And so we have roughly 300 to 400 individuals every year that are case managed to receive that service. The distribution of funds, here's a breakdown of how those funds are distributed. Majority of the funds, I shouldn't say majority, but a large amount of the funds do go to our larger programs, and then we break down the allocations depending on number of meals produced each year. Payson being the largest program here in Gila County, and down to some of our smaller programs, which include Hayden, the town of Miami, as well as the Pine Senior Center. Although the Pine Senior Center is not a contracted senior center within our umbrella of senior centers, it is a program that we support and you support as well through this funding. Case management as well, another area as I mentioned earlier. And then the Mom's Meals program, which is a program where individuals who do not live in a service area in Gila County that cannot be serviced by a senior center receive meals through a third provider, which is Mom's Meals. The meals are delivered in packaged temperature-controlled boxes to their homes. So this is more for those seniors that are in isolated areas. Some numbers to report for last fiscal year. For the Payson and Star Valley area, you can follow those across. I won't go through each of these, but you'll see for each of the centers, I should say, the number of individuals served as well as the units served, which in the case of senior centers is meals. And again, that's a combination of congregate meals that are served in each site as well as home delivered meals. So for the year, the total number of individuals served in Gila County was 1,441 seniors or persons with disability. And then total number of meals, 122,000 meals produced last year to support our seniors. And again, case management, 468 individuals received case management services. These are our seniors that live in their home, they're homebound, and 1,950 units of case management hours were provided to those individuals. And please stop me at any time if you have any questions. Some victories to report from each of the senior center sites. The Payson Senior Center reports that what they're hearing from their clients are that it helps me to eat more and worry less. No more hunger is one of the seniors reported. Any meal I get, it means I can live that I can live alone. Without this service, I would not have a balanced meal each day, and I can count on something to eat. And so those are some of the victories reported from the Payson Senior Center for some of our program recipients. From Globe, our clients appreciate not only the quality of the meal, but also the consistency of service, particularly during the pandemic. The social and emotional support provided by volunteers and drivers brings smiles to our clients' faces. And then in Miami, many seniors we serve throughout Gila County are lonely and lack companionship. They look forward to seeing the driver, not only for the meal, but the daily communication that lifts their spirits. And we know that many of our seniors who are homebound, many times they don't see anyone but the driver. So that's very important. Hayden Senior Center reports that their center was able to serve a 91-year-old veteran who lives alone and is legally blind, diabetic, and experiencing mobility issues that prevent him from being able to stand and cook for himself. This gentleman now receives weekday and weekend meals, which have helped to improve his health and nutritional risk. In many of our centers, traditionally we serve meals Monday through Friday, so they're getting 5 meals. It's usually a lunchtime meal. But in some cases where our case managers determine that someone has a higher nutritional risk or is very isolated, we do authorize weekend meals. So we do have some seniors that are receiving more than the traditional service. Many of their, and then from Pine Senior Center, many of the seniors in Pine are low income, receiving small Social Security payments that limit their ability to purchase adequate amounts of nutritional food. In one case, the center received a referral from a couple who were surviving on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. They were in tears when they were told their meals would be free and delivered directly to their door. And just a reminder that our services, because they are federally funded as well as state and local, and of course the funds we receive from Gila County, we do not charge for any of our services, nor do we determine eligibility based solely on their income. If a person is 65 years or older and is unable to cook for themselves, then they are most likely eligible for our service. Challenges. As we move into this next fiscal year, one of the challenges that we're facing across the board, and I know that many nonprofit organizations are dealing with these challenges, but the lack of increased funding opportunities just aren't what they were a few years back. The Older Americans Act funding, which is the federal funds that we receive annually, are stagnant. We're not seeing any movement there. In fact, there is some discussion about possibly some cuts in funding to nutrition services and senior services across the board. So that's something that we're having to work through, and in many cases having to cut service. As well as the spend down of the ARPA funds, which at the height of the pandemic, our agency received a couple of $1 million in funding, and we distributed that to all the senior centers, which was helping to cover some of the costs and challenges that they were experiencing. We have spent down all of the ARPA funds, so we are no longer able to tap into those dollars. So really we're moving into level funding, level services. Other challenges, staffing continues to be a challenge for our senior centers. The rising cost of food, we're all experiencing that, but seniors for sure are, and our centers are also having to look at other options in terms of reducing their costs for food, fuel as well, and then the recruitment and retention of volunteers has been a consistent challenge for them, but they make do and they put all of their effort into making sure that there's no interruption of services. The impact of the Gila County funding, certainly your funding and your continued support of our programs allows for the significant improvement of the diet quality, increase in nutrient intake, and overall reducing food insecurity in your communities, as well as malnutrition amongst our seniors. Increasing socialization opportunities for seniors to attend senior center programs, which improves the quality of life of our seniors. And then the daily well check, and we've heard from many seniors that say the meal is wonderful, we love the meal, but the daily well check is so important to so many of our seniors. They want someone to come in and check on them and make sure that they're doing okay. In many cases, we have found seniors on the floor and over weekends sometimes. And so that's an incredibly important service for them. And sorry, let me turn my page here. Providing access to community resources and supporting seniors in their home and in congregate meal settings. And the funding and the programs that we provide align with federal and state policies, which aim to reduce institutionalization of seniors in nursing home, which we know is incredibly expensive. And so for seniors to remain here in the community, to age in place, of course, helps ensure that their health is improving and combats functional decline. And it really makes each community grow safely and healthy. For this area, we know that 18 to 20% of your population are seniors, and they are seeking these services, and the calls to us, to our office, continue to grow. And we know that 1 in 8 seniors is suffering with either food insecurity or malnutrition, and so your funds help us to ensure that we are combating those issues in the community. So we want to say thank you. This partnership that we've had for many, many years continues to be of benefit to the seniors in your community as well as the senior centers, and they're all doing an amazing job to ensure that they're meeting the needs of the seniors in our community. So we really do value this relationship and the partnership and the funds that you contribute towards these programs. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you for that presentation. Supervisor Humphrey, do you have any questions?
No, I have no questions other than just thank you very much for the presentation and all that you do to help the seniors and the disabled in our community. And I just can't thank you enough because I actually seen where, you know, it helps and know people that you've been working with. And so I thank you very much, and I support anything that we can do to continue helping. And with our rising economy, you know, things the way they are and help the way it is, you know, God bless you for all you do, and anything that I can do to help support you, I'll be willing to. Thank you.
We appreciate it very much, Supervisor Humphrey.
Thank you, Supervisor Klein.
Anna, thank you. And thank you to all the senior centers we have here in Gila County. They do an awesome job. They work really, really hard and cover a lot of miles. The Older Americans Act, that's federal?
It is federal, yes.
Okay, and when you refer to it as stagnant, what are you thinking? It's just kind of been pushed aside, put on hold?
Well, there is there's a reauthorization process, and in that process, it is brought before Congress for approval. But in that process, we have not seen any increases of what we call the annual allocations over the course of maybe 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
So yeah, there are some increases in special programs, and we run a variety of programs. So we have everything from the ombudsman program to Medicare, Medicaid counseling. Depending on the program, we're seeing some increases, but in terms of nutrition services, we're not seeing any increases there.
So it's no way keeping up with inflation or anything like that?
Not at all, not at all. Not keeping up with inflation, nor is it keeping up with the need. And we are seeing growth in our senior population. More and more people are living longer and moving into that eligibility area where they are seeking additional services, but we just don't have funding to be able to support them. Recently, we implemented a wait list for home delivered meals, which is the first time we've had to do that in 10 years.
Really?
And so, yes. And I think we've been able to serve more people in Gila County, but Pinal County is very backed up because we have more of a need there in Pinal County that we just can't. But in Gila County, I think we were able to bring people on, not as quickly as we'd like to. I mean, just the fact that we have to tell people that they have to go on a wait list for food is incredibly difficult to do that. But unfortunately, we don't have the funds to serve everyone.
In Gila County right now, we don't have that wait list?
Not now, no. We're serving now.
I can't really imagine telling anybody they're gonna have to wait.
Exactly.
So
Yes.
when I first came on the board, we've upped the money from the county considerably since then. So
Yes.
Mr. Minloff can start sharpening his pencil and we'll have more discussions. So anyway, but Anna, thank you so much for everything you guys do, and please pass that on to your seniors.
I will. Thank you
Yeah.
very much. We appreciate your support.
Yes, thank you for your presentation. So if you don't have family members in your own family, like myself, that are struggling with meals or struggling with isolation, you don't really realize the magnitude of how many people are out there that, through no real cause of their own, just end up alone,
Absolutely.
unable to get around. So it's vital that we have a program like this, and also you can see where the bus system that we support also supports that, and that the Gila Provisional College also provides things to help people get out, do things, and become healthier as a result. So,
Yes, yes.
yeah, your efforts are vital, and so it's great to hear.
Well, we appreciate it. And it really is a collaboration. I mean, we have some funding from Older Americans Act. It does not cover the full cost of running a senior center. So it really is a partnership on our behalf, but then also with all of the senior centers. They provide the space, they provide the staff, they provide the other resources, and we're always looking for other organizations that can bring in some of those resources. So it really speaks to the collaborative ability of the organizations in this area to work together on behalf of seniors.
Yes, thank you, Supervisor.
I have one more question for James. James, so when it comes to the towns, Globe, Pace, and whatnot, how do they contribute to the senior centers?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Klein, I was exactly asking that exact question myself. I do not know what the contributions and those amounts are and how they participate. Ms. Medina may have that answer.
Sure, so you're asking specifically about the amount of funds?
Funding.
Or yeah. So we have a contract with each, well, Payson is different, Payson is nonprofit, but each city and town we have a contract with, and we provide the funding for nutrition service. It really is what we focus on, is nutrition service. The the cities and towns provide the facility, and they provide the staffing, and they provide all of the recreational activities. So they fund about, I would say about 70% of the budget.
Okay.
And then we come in with the rest of it.
Okay.
Of that, which again, our focus is nutrition services. But if all of those components are not present, we cannot fund a senior center.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
I was just curious, so thank you.
Yes, no
Thank you for
problem.
that. Okay,
Thank
Mr.
you very
Chair.
much.
Thank you, and with that, I will call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve agreement number 03152024 with Pinal County Council for senior citizens as presented, and which the board finds and determines this is for the benefit to provide services to persons with disabilities and aged persons within Gila County.
And Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Very good. We have a motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Item 4H, information, discussion, action to approve professional services contract number 012924 with BOS Public Affairs Group in the amount of $84,000 per year at the rate of $7,000 per month, plus up to $4,000 in travel-related expenses to continue providing lobbying and consulting services to the federal government level to Gila County effective February 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. Maren.
Good morning again, Mr. Chair, Supervisor Klein, Supervisor Humphrey. This is our annual renewal of the BOS Public Affairs Group contract that provides the county with federal lobbying services. We meet monthly with BOS, and they provide us with information about ongoings in Washington, D.C. and different access points for federal funding opportunities. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Maren. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions.
Supervisor Klein.
How can I put this so I don't really sound horrible? But tell me the benefits of having our lobbyist in DC. Maren, please.
So our lobbyist in DC knows and has access to the ongoing day-to-day operations and the day-to-day culture within the offices that we're working with to get access to funding, especially for congressionally directed spending. As you know, congressionally directed spending requires us to work closely with the different senators' offices, and I don't know if you're familiar with this, but I know the City of Globe's been having a real struggle lately trying to get their congressionally directed spending from 2 years ago directed here for the Michelson Project. Because we have access to our lobbyist in DC, we don't face those struggles. When we have congressionally directed spending, we know exactly what we need to do and exactly how to do it. We don't have to have additional meetings with other federal agencies to try to facilitate getting those funds here. We also have access to get appointments with various individuals in Congress when you or county management are in DC. And we also have access to better understand what's going on in Capitol Hill without one of us having to be there in person to do it. For example, when Congress was talking about potentially clawing back the American Relief Plan Act, ARPA, with what the Auditor General's office refers to as SLRF, the State and Local Federal Recovery Funds, our lobbyist was on the phone with us as soon as that was an issue, to advise us of how we could go into the ARPA reporting platform and show the feds that we had committed all the funds so that Gila County was not in risk of those funds being clawed back. They were funds that had been in the bank for, at that point, 6 or 8 months. And we were able to be advised that very first day that there was the potential of Congress doing that. Congress didn't end up doing that, but having that boots on the ground, or high heels on the ground, knowledge of what we ought to do to protect ourselves from potential federal behaviors has been really helpful to us.
So we've had a contract with them from before I took office. It's been a while.
Looks like on the agenda item that this began in 2009.
So quite a while on there. I mean, so I'm always kind of questioning this, to be honest with you, and
Okay.
turning things around and whatnot. But I know Patty. I know she's very capable of getting in the offices and doing things up there too. And so, and like Mr. James, we've talked about before, and you've said that she's been helpful to you in the past. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Klein, there is one specific, all the purposes that Ms. Belling had laid out, I wanted to go over it later in the meeting, but the Arizona State Department of Transportation has awarded Gila County $3 million of a SMART grant, which will be used to do the design and engineering for Russell Road. Part of that SMART grant award is that we are required, and if we don't, we have to pay the SMART money back, but we are required to apply for a RAISE grant with the federal government. I ask, dare I say plead, that we continue this because we are required to apply for this RAISE grant, and we need to have that continuity of a voice in Washington, D.C. that gives us every opportunity, every chance of being successful for our RAISE grant to complete Russell Road and make it passable, make it accessible. So that's, to me, I request your support.
I understand. I do. I just, and what you just said is viable. We need that road. And if Patty can help us nail that down and keep that going, that would be great. And we'll look at it again next year. So, thank you, James. Thank you, Mary.
Welcome.
Okay, and thank you, Mayor. And so the message I'm getting is that the cost is well worth the benefit that we get.
Mr. Chairman, one example we have is the Tonto Creek Bridge, a nearly $25 million project. That it was a lot of voices, a lot of things that went into that. Patty certainly had a part in getting that nearly $25 million bridge almost to completion here.
Yeah. Okay, and I can see that, and I agree with that. So with that, I will call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve professional services contract number 012924 with BOS Public Affairs Group as presented.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you, Mayor. We have item 4I, information, discussion, action to approve the implementation of budgeted and unbudgeted interfund transfers from fiscal year 2024 as approved for preparation at the Board of Supervisors November 7th, 2023 regular meeting. Mayor.
Good morning again. This is an annual transaction that the board authorizes, and in order to be in compliance with ARS 4217106, we have to come before the board to authorize the transfers. You did authorize the preparation of them back in November. On November 7th, we are here today so that we can get these prepared or completed before June 30th so that everything is where it needs to be for the fiscal year end.
Thank you, Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no question.
Supervisor Klein.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. And with that, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the implementation for budgeted and unbudgeted interform transfers for fiscal year 2024 as approved for preparation at the Board of Supervisors November 7th, 2023 regular meeting.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Maren. Item 4J, information, discussion, action to review the bids for request for proposals number 011224, cost allocation plan, and CFR cost allocation plan services. Award to be most responsive, responsible, and qualified bidder, and authorize the chairman's signature on the award contract. Maren.
Good morning again. We are here to request your signature on the contract with MGT Consulting to prepare the county's cost allocation plan and CFR federal cost allocation plan for the coming fiscal year. Our previous vendor has taken this off their menu of services, so we had to go out to bid. We did that in January and evaluated the responses, and there were 2 that we were able to consider of the 4 that we received. And of those 2, MGT Consulting is the most cost-effective.
Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no question.
Supervisor Klein.
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Maren. With that, I'll call for motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to award a contract to MGT Consulting in the amount of $23,000 per year for 3 years totaling $69,000 in response to request for proposals number 011224 and authorize the chairman's signature on the award.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Okay, motion and seconded to approve. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Maren.
Thank you.
Item 4K, information, discussion, action to approve amendment number 2 to the service agreement number 100422021 with Atlas Technical Consultants to extend the term of the agreement through October 31st, 2025, and increase the contract budget by $97,400, which will be utilized for blighted property assessments. Amy Staton.
Good morning, Chairman and Board of Supervisors. Thank you. This is the Copper Corridor Lightbusters Grant, known as the CCBB grant, which is almost done. It should be done by the end of October 2024, but we're not quite there yet, so we're asking to extend it through the end of October 2025. And the reason for that is that we had a little bit of hesitancy with some of the people coming forward with their properties. I think more because they weren't sure what would happen once they had their properties assessed. And now that they've seen that they're going to be okay and Boogeyman's not going to get them, they're moving forward and the properties can be assessed. And so we had a bunch of properties kind of come forward at the last. So we're getting those assessed. I think that probably we shouldn't have said increase the contract budget amount quite that way, because what we're doing is we're moving money from other budget items into the contract. So it's not actually an increase of the overall budget, it's just moving it into the contract, so that our contractor can do more of the blighted properties. So those are the 2 amendments, and it'll just take us through. I don't think it'll take us quite till October of next year, but we just need that little bit of breathing room to get that completed. And then we'll move into, we're actually now working on a new grant for the exact same purpose, because there's a lot of other properties out there to do. So if we could get that approved, we can get those done.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions?
Yeah, Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, and you say you're looking for other grants. Grants from where?
From EPA.
Okay.
It's actually the same grant. EPA is aware that we're moving forward with another ask for this. And they're aware that we have a lot of other properties. We received the environmental justice grant, but it's not. We don't want it to do the exact same thing. We want to do other things like demolition. So we're asking for another grant to do the assessments like lead and the other one, asbestos. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, that type of assessment.
Okay, and Mr. Chair, if I may, thank you very much. I mean, blighted properties is one of my big deals, and in my district, it is a big deal. So thank you very much. Yeah, we can use every dime we can get to fix blighted properties, because a lot of them don't have owners, and a lot of them are investors, and so we do have issues. So thank you very much for all the funding that we can get for fighting blight is a great deal, so I
And
appreciate it.
If I may, to that, we've learned a few things about those properties with the absentee landowners. And so we're moving ahead with a few things that maybe we can, some of these things that have sat rotting for so many years, move on them.
Yeah.
So, you know, within the law, but things that we didn't know that we could do before, we're starting to look around and see what else we can do to move them so that we don't have properties just sitting there doing nothing.
Right, yeah, no,
So,
thank you very much, yeah,
kind of
because
exciting.
I've been kicking and clawing and reaching and
You
pulling here, so all
Yes.
all the help is really appreciated, and I'm very grateful.
Thank you.
Supervisor Klein.
Amy, thank you for everything you guys are doing. I get lowdown from Kathy every so often, so it's really good, and you guys have done an awesome job with that Blight Buster grant and all that, so it's good. So thanks again.
I've learned a lot from Kathy, too.
Yes, thank you. And with that, I'll call for motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve amendment number 2 to service agreement number 100420021 with Atlas Technical Consultants as presented.
And Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
And we have item 4L, information discussion action to approve an IGA contract to CTR 068202 with the Arizona Department of Health Services in the amount of $226,000, which will allow the Public Health and Community Services Department to continue to provide HIV care and services for Gila County from April 1st, 2024 through March 31st, 2028. Good morning.
Hello. Hi, I'm here for Josh. He was unable to attend today. Good morning, Chairman Christensen, Supervisor Humphrey, and Supervisor Klein. I'm happy to present a new replacement 5-year contract with the Arizona Department of Health Services. This contract entails securing $226,000 in funding designated for the Ryan White HIV Services Grant. This grant term spans 5 years from April 1st, 2024 to March 31st, 2028. The Ryan White HIV Service Grant plays a crucial role in our efforts to provide comprehensive care and support to individuals affected by HIV and AIDS. With this funding, we can enhance access to vital services, including medical care, treatment, support services, and improve the well-being and quality of life for those impacted by this disease, and fostering a healthier community for all residents. I'm available for any questions you might have.
Thank you. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions.
Supervisor Klein.
Thank you, Stella.
Yes, thank you. With that, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve an intergovernmental agreement, contract number CTR 068202 with the Arizona Department of Health Services.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Okay, a motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. We have another one for you. 4M, information discussion action to approve amendment number 8 to contract number 019-0444 between the Pinal Gila County, or Pinal Gila Council for Senior Citizens Area Agency on Aging, Region 5, and Gila County Public Health and Community Services Department to receive additional funding of $55,000 to continue providing eligible citizens with home repair, renovations, and housing supportive services from July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024.
Yes, good morning again. This amendment proposes to allocate an additional $55,000. These funds are designated for home repair and renovations for eligible citizens. This will enhance their living conditions and overall quality of life, ensuring they have access to resources necessary for comfortable and safe living environments, especially with the extreme heat that we are expecting. This amendment does not extend the terms of the contract. The original contract remains slated to conclude on June 30th, 2024.
Thank you. Supervisor Humphrey.
No questions.
Supervisor Klein.
Neither do I. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you. And with that, I will call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve amendment number 8 to contract number 019-0444 with the Pinal Gila Council for Senior Citizens Area Agency on Aging, Region 5 as presented.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Stella. Uno mas. We have 4N, information, discussion, action to approve amendment number 2 to the independent contractor agreement. And that number is 07012023-24 between the Arizona Community Action Association doing business as Wildfire and the Gila County Public Health and Community Services Department, whereby Wildfire will administer an additional $30,000 of funding for a total contract amount of $70,020, which will be used to provide APS crisis bill assistance to eligible citizens residing in Gila County for the period of July 1, 2023 through June 30, 2024.
Thank you again, Chairman Christensen, Supervisor Humphrey, and Supervisor Klein. Under this amendment, Wildfire has generously committed to providing an additional $30,000, again bringing our contract to $70,020. This infusion of funds will assist in covering deposits for utility companies, as well as repair and replacement of appliances for low-income individuals who fall within the 200% poverty threshold, hopefully making a meaningful impact in the lives of those most in need. Again, this amendment does not alter the duration of our contract. As initially agreed upon, the contract remains in effect until June 30th.
Thank you. And Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions.
Supervisor Klein.
Stella, with that money, how many people are we able to help? Do you know?
With the additional funding, I believe they can help probably 10 to 11 people. Last year, with this funding, they were able to help 47 people.
47?
Last
Oh,
year,
good.
2023.
With the same kind of money, basically?
Right. Well, with the 70,000, the total amount. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. And with that, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve amendment number 2 to the independent contractor agreement, contract number 07012023-24 with Arizona Community Action Association, DBA Wildfire as presented.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Okay, motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Stella. And let's move on to item 4O, information, discussion, action to approve amendment number 1 to contract number 071023 with Cactus Asphalt to extend the term of the contract through October 31st, 2024. We have Homero with us.
Good morning, Chairman and board members.
Good morning.
This is a contract to extend the time frame for the work that we're trying to do on Gila Road with Cactus Asphalt. And it would allow for up through October 31st for the contract to continue to be in place. Actually, the work is scheduled to take place, the latest news is on June 3rd. It's going to start and should be completed on June 20th. And perhaps had we known that information, we may not have come to the board. But there is rain associated with the month of June sometimes, and rain could delay the chip seal. The temperature needs to be 65 degrees and rising. That's the air temperature. The ground temperature is supposed to be 85 degrees. If, for an example, tomorrow and the next day, they wouldn't be able to start till about 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning based on AccuWeather. So there is, and we're just getting insurance here that we have enough time on the contract. Once again, the work is scheduled to take place in June. And the dollar value does not change for the contract. Both parties agreed. We tried to do this work. The board approved this in September, and actually it was too late to try to do it in October, and we were maybe perhaps thinking about it, but we changed our mind, and now we're going to get it done early summer, like I mentioned, in the June timeframe. So with that, we would like to recommend your approval to approve amendment number 1 to contract number 071023 to extend the expiration date till October 31st of 2024.
Thank you, Homero. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions, just thank you. This project's been put off for years, and then it got cold, and so I'm great and very happy and gracious for all your hard work to have this coming up in June. I appreciate it very much. And so that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And Supervisor Klein.
Homero, thanks. No, this will be good to get it.
Very good. So I'll call for motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve amendment number 1 to contract number 071023 with Cactus Asphalt as presented.
And Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you, Homero.
Thank you.
And next we have item 4P, information discussion action to approve amendment number 2 to emergency management performance grant number EMF-2023-APP-00008-S01 with the Arizona Department of Emergency and Military Affairs Division of Emergency Management, which corrects the award number to that really long number. Thank you, Carl.
Good morning, Chairman and members of the board. Ironically, last time we brought this item to the board, it was the same thing. They did modify the award number. Just to give a little information, this is for the Emergency Management Performance Grant, which is the grant that funds 50% of our division. There are no other changes as we're kind of wrapping up the year. We have accomplished all of our programmatic goals for the fiscal year, so this is just a modification of the IGA number. There are no other changes necessary within the IGA thus far. Looks like this should be the last one to carry us through the remainder of the year. If there are no other questions, that's pretty much the only change in this IGA.
Thank you, Carl. Supervisor Humphrey?
I have no question.
Supervisor Klein?
I don't either. Thank you, Carl.
Yeah, thank you, Carl.
Thank you.
Simple change in a number, so I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve amendment number 2 to Emergency Management Performance Grant number EMF-2023 APP-00008-S01 with the Arizona Department of Emergency and Military Affairs, Division of Emergency Management as.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Carl.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen, for hanging around up there in Payson. The next 4 items, just for your information, are requests from my constituent funds. Let's get started with item 4Q, information discussion action to approve economic development agreement number 040824 between Gila County and the Tonto Rim Search and Rescue Squad Incorporated in the amount of $14,788 to support the purchase of Garmin InReach Mini 2 for the 2-way satellite communications that will be used while conducting search and rescue in the rough terrain of Gila County, which the board has determined to be for the benefit of the public. And we have Bill Pitterly with us from Tonto Rim Search and Rescue. Could you tell us how this will benefit your organization and Gila County?
I would be glad to. Good morning, Chairman Christensen, Supervisor Humphrey, and Supervisor Klein. I have been a member of Search and Rescue for 22 years. I have been a commander of the organization for 20 of those years. I've done over 600 missions, and one of the problems that we continually run into, and of course we live in a very vertical county. Gila County is a very vertical county compared to a lot of places that we have been involved in. And of course, communications for first responders is always the biggest issue that we have. And of course, it's exacerbated by the terrain that we live in. My most critical problem when I run into issues with safety, critical nature incidents with the subjects that we're rescuing have to do with the fact that we just simply cannot communicate from where we are to where we need to get help from. The Garmin InReach is an item that I've looked at for a long time. We've tried a number of other things. They just have not come up to what the Garmin InReach can do. I have some of the older models. I have 5 of those. It's not enough. I need these devices in the hands of the rescuers because they're dispatched at 10 o'clock at night, 2 o'clock in the morning. They go direct from their home to the trailhead, and what I've decided and determined is I just need to have these in the hands of the people that will be out there, and so that they will have them when I need to know what's going on out in the field.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions, other than thank you for all you do.
Supervisor Klein?
Same with me, thanks.
Yes, thank you for that presentation. Anything to improve public safety. So with that, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve Economic Development Agreement number 040824 with Tunnel Rim Search and Rescue Squad Incorporated as presented, and which the board has determined to be for the benefit of the public.
And Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Bill. And let's move on to item 4R, information discussion action to approve economic development agreement number 040524 between Gila County and the Mogollon Valley Pit Program Incorporated in the amount of $5,000 to support covering some of the costs associated with making the brush pit a cleaner and safer area to dispose of fire-wise materials, which the board has determined to be for the benefit of the public. And this is, once again, Frank Aspalaw came to me and said that they purchased $20,000 worth of granite. Could I help in some way? And I decided, yes, I think I can. Is anyone there from the pit?
No, sir.
No, okay. So that's the explanation. They just, they run a great program, and it benefits basically the entire region. And so it is cleaned up the area quite a bit from having a lot of really hazardous soot and everything that was just in the air constantly with people driving in. So with that, I'll take any questions. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions.
Supervisor Klein.
What, Mr. Chair, what pits is involved? Is this all of them across the rim, or?
It's the Blattner pit specifically.
The Blattner pit.
The Blattner pit.
And so what you're saying is they're cleaning up or covering up that old ash that was in there, because now they're chipping it and hauling it out, right?
Yes, correct. There's no burning, but it from past burnings has been quite problematic.
Right, okay.
So I thought he actually got the granite donated, but he told me no, he spent $20,000. So I'm sure he would be acceptable to any more. But anyway, with that, any other questions? I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve Economic Development Grant Agreement number 040524 with Mogollon Valley Pit Program Incorporated as presented, in which the board has determined to be for the benefit of the public.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. And item 4S, information discussion action to approve economic development agreement number 040624 between Gila County and the Payson Pilots Association in the amount of $1,200 to support venue, expenses, and aviation education at the Payson Aerofair event scheduled for October 19th, 2024, which the board has determined before the benefit of the public. We have someone there from the Payson Pilots Association.
Yes, we have, my name is Larry Erdman, and I represent the Payson Pilot Association and the chairperson for the Payson Aerofair 2024.
Thank you, Larry. So tell us a little bit about what you do and the revitalization of this Aerofair that, and how much it benefits the area.
Happy to do so. Thank you and good morning. So the Payson Pilot Association, together with the cooperation of the town of Payson and certain departments such as Parks and Recreation, the town street department, put on a free event for the public. Last year, we had about 3,500 attendees come to the Aerofair. We expect this year perhaps to exceed 4,000. In the Aerofair, we have a display of military aircraft together with private pilots who bring their airplanes in. The whole focus of the event is to provide an opportunity for the public to come out and see the resource they have, which is the Payson Airport, but also to provide educational opportunities for primarily children to learn about programs that they could apply for, to get into aerospace, to get into different educational programs. We provide, for instance, free simulators so the kids can actually sit down and work with pilots to see what it's like to actually fly an airplane. We will be having this year several of the local Arizona flight schools have representatives there. So again, the public and primarily children who might be interested in a career path in aerospace would have that opportunity to engage with them. Oh, sorry, that was feedback there. I thought that was a question that came up. And so this money that we're requesting will help us with the, this is again a free event for the public, but these expenses will help us with things such as the trash, all the different security that we will need, parking, and so forth to be able to put that on. We, of course, are a completely volunteer organization and no paid staff to do this. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Thank you very much, Larry. Supervisor Humphrey?
I have no question.
Supervisor Klein?
So this is going to take place October 19th, right?
That is correct. We're trying to make it a standard date, and in cooperation with the town of Payson, we have agreed that the third Saturday of October every year will be Aero Fair. It tends to be a very good seasonal time in which winds aren't too bad, and we're hopefully beyond monsoon season. We haven't really gotten into the cold yet.
Okay, sounds good. We'll be in touch with you. Maybe there's a way we can help you out as well. So thank you.
Oh, fantastic. And I invite everyone to attend if possible.
Yes, it's a great event. Thank you very much. With that, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve Economic Development Agreement number 040624 with Payson Pilots Association Incorporated as presented, and which the board has determined to be for the benefit of the public.
And I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Got a motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. And by the way, I got to say that microphone is working exceptionally well.
Yes.
I mean, it just clear as a bell. So thank you for that. And last item will be number 4T in our regular agenda, information, discussion, action to approve Economic Development Agreement number 040424 between Gila County and the Payson Military Honor Guard Incorporated in the amount of $3,000 to provide military honors, members with proper military uniforms, and flags for families of fallen soldiers and veterans, which the board is determined to be for the benefit of the public. And I know we have a couple representatives there from the Honor Guard. We have Randy Kaufman, and who else?
Bud Huffman.
Oh, Bud, okay, it's hard to see. Good to have you, Bud. Tell us how you're going to use this money and how that benefits Gila County residents.
Well, we are all volunteer, and the uniforms are quite expensive, so this will help offset the expense of uniforms. And we go to all of the schools to do flag presentations, the 13 folds, and just to introduce ourselves and everything around the area and do some patriotic stuff. The Honor Guard is proud to say that we are one of 3 Honor Guards in the state of Arizona that is certified to do military honors in a national cemetery in Arizona. And we have worked our way from 13 people to 33. And we have been trying to be a proud unit. And so far, we are successful. Thank you very much.
All of our funds come from donations. We do not solicit funds in any manner, and so we just wanted to let you know that the $3,000, if you so approve it, would be very much appreciated.
Thank you,
Any
gentlemen.
questions?
Supervisor Humphrey.
No questions.
Supervisor Klein.
So same goes with you guys, Bud. Maybe we'll get in touch with you and see how we can help out as well. We'll go from there. But I see you guys at all these events and special occasions, and you do a fantastic job. So thank you so much. Thanks for your service.
One other thing, we will be at the opening of the bridge in June.
Oh, good. Well, we look forward to seeing you guys there. It's always an honor to see you. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And I honestly believe, I don't have anything to compare to, but if you guys are not the best honor guard in the state of Arizona, I would be surprised. Very professional. You're at all of the various memorial services, funeral services. You do all this voluntarily. You guys travel. You're everywhere. You Veterans Day, Memorial Day. You do flags at the cemetery. You retire flags. There's so much you do, and so to help in this small way is a real honor. So thank you for everything you do. And with that, I will call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve Economic Development Grant Agreement number 040424 with Payson Military Honor Guard Incorporated as presented, in which the board has determined to be for the benefit of the public.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimous. Thank you for your time, gentlemen. And we'll move on to item 5, consent agenda items 5A through I. Does either one of the supervisors wish to remove one or more items from the consent agenda and talk about it separately?
I do not.
Supervisor?
Yeah, neither do I. I'm good.
Okay, I'll call for a motion to approve.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve consent agenda items 5A through 5I.
And I will second that.
Okay, motion and a second to approve all items in the consent agenda. Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. And we have now next call to the public. Anyone here in Globe that wishes to speak from the public? Figure out where I'm at. Cassandra? No. And I do know that we have Chief Morris from Hell's Gate Fire Department, which wishes to address us. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here and speak to you today for a few reasons. First of all, I would like to thank the board for the excellent employees that I have come to know, work with, and get needed results completed. I would like to thank just a few of them at this time. Former employee, Finance Director Mary Springer. She was very beneficial in helping Hell's Gate Fire Department have a pass-through account for several Indian communities that have had Prop 202 gaming grants. She would always be there for us. Current Finance Director, Marilyn Belling, she is also very instrumental in working not only with Hell's Gate, but several of my counterpart fire chiefs from neighboring communities, and have been accepted by Marin and allowed us to go forward in getting grant and help from the grant communities. The grants coordinator, Amy Staten, if I could not get a hold of Mary or Marin, Amy was there for us. Sheriff Adam Shepard and his deputies, of which we have an excellent working relationship. Chief Building Official Randy Plumer. If I ever had a zoning question or a code question or just needed advice, Randy was able to perform and provide the information or support needed. Emergency managers Carl Melford and Justin Quarles, If I needed help at any time, they would answer the phone. They work not only with me, but with all the fire departments in Gila County. When we had a tornado that blew through Star Valley back in November, I called Carl, and he immediately responded with his wealth of knowledge, expertise, and support. I know that there are several other people who I've worked with, but I would like to point out one special individual, Public Works Supervisor Wayne Jones. On April 28th, engine 21, which is one of my engines, had an issue with mud. This happened about midnight on Saturday night. It got stuck in the road where we could not get it out. And so a phone call to Wayne about 2 o'clock in the morning to see if he would be able to help us pull the truck out. And early that next morning, he was out there with a grader and found out it was a little bit more than what it could do. And so we had to get a heavy tow truck to come out and was able to remove it on Monday. Finally, I would like to point out that I've had a great working relationship with each member of this board. Supervisor Klein has been the supervisor over most of my district, and I'm grateful to have had the opportunity to work with you, especially when it came into a Board of Supervisor meeting asking for support in getting a grant. Speaking of grants, I would like to let you know that over my 3.9 years as the fire chief of Hell's Gate Fire Department, I have been successful in obtaining grants totaling over $925,000. This has allowed us to buy 5 new vehicles, which have replaced old and worn out units. These purchases have decreased the hit to our budget, so we could address other concerns. I'd also like to inform you that last Thursday, I received an email from the Arizona Department of Forestry and Fire Management that we were successful in obtaining a $175,000 grant for a Type 6 brush truck to replace one of our older Type 6. Supervisor Klein had written a letter of support to DFFM for this and was very instrumental in obtaining a very high score. Other grants that we have received have replaced old handheld radios, mobile radios, extrication tools, fire station repairs, and safety enhancements. We even received a FEMA grant working with Cyber Intelligence and Security Agency that allowed for several site visits to northern Gila County. These site visits produced a study and recommendation to our radio communications issue. If a dollar value was to be assigned to the CISA study, it was around $230,000 that cost the taxpayers of Gila County $0. Finally, I would like to announce that back in April with Chairman Christensen, I did stand and announce my retirement. And so I am retiring from the Hell's Gate Fire District effective the 30th of June. Don't look at me that way. The 30th of June. I've spent well over 41 years in the fire service. I can't meet some of the other fire chiefs in the area, but I appreciate the opportunity having get to know everybody here, working with the employees of Gila County and with other agencies. So I would like to say thank you very much. I hope I get to meet you in the future sometime on the road, and I would wish everybody God bless.
Wow, great. Thank you. Supervisor Humphrey, any comments?
No, thank you very much for appreciating all those people and that work with the county, and we're happy to have had that working relationship with you, and I wish you well in your retirement, and thank you very much for your dedication and what you've done for us in your working years.
Thank you.
Supervisor Klein.
Yeah, Chief, thank you for everything you've done, and it's been a real pleasure working with you over these years, and you'll truly be missed, so maybe we'll bump into each other somewhere along the way and have a cup of coffee and visit.
Sounds good.
Yeah, Chief Morris, it's been a pleasure knowing you and helping in any way I could. So your boots are going to be hard to fill, quite honestly, and so you will be missed, but we wish you the best of luck and having fun in your retirement and traveling around. I know you have plans, and so we'll carry on, and there'll be others that step up into your place, and we'll help as we can with them as well. So thank you for mentioning all those mentioned that were helpful to you personally. We have a long list of really great employees here at Gila County.
I agree. Thank you.
Mr. Menlove, did you have anything?
No.
No, okay.
For that part, no.
Yeah, okay, thank you for that. I don't believe there's any more public to be called upon. So last item, let's talk about some of the different summaries and current events that are occurring. And Mr. Menlove, please.
Mr. Chairman, it's appropriate that Chief Morris highlighted some of our employees. It just happens that yesterday and today, we are in the middle of an employee health fair and employee appreciation. Yesterday here in Globe, that event took place out at the fairgrounds. You notice that we're in the large conference room at TCM. That's because our employee appreciation and employee health fair is taking place in the larger room there at the TCM building. I want to express appreciation to all of our employees as well. We could not do what we do without them. We have many dedicated employees that contribute significantly to our success as Gila County. And I am very grateful for those that work for and serve the residents of Gila County. Last week, I won't speak too much about it, but attended a 3-day event with the Eastern Counties organization. It addresses environmental issues throughout Eastern Arizona, and great event. I enjoyed it very much, and I'll let others speak about that more. I did want to mention that Homero Vela and I attended the Arizona Department of Transportation board meeting in April. And at that board meeting, Gila County was awarded nearly $5 million of grants from ADOT. And if you know ADOT, it's a shark frenzy. It's a free-for-all feeding event that there are very limited dollars, and everyone is scrambling to get those dollars. Gila County is very blessed, very fortunate to have the ADOT board award us $5 million. That $5 million, approximately $5 million, as was mentioned earlier, $3 million for Russell Road design and engineering. And so that is just a great benefit. Thank you to Homer and your staff for putting that grant application together and being awarded. In addition, there is approximately $1 million for Houston Mesa Road. They will be widening the road with 5-foot paved shoulders for a portion of Houston Mesa Road on the southern end of that. And then also approximately $500,000 for resurfacing in Tonto Village. Homer was there too, and I know has much more detail. If you have a question about those, Mr. Vela could reinforce that. We've talked for nearly 2 hours on a lot of financial issues, grants and things, and I appreciate your support. In the consent agenda was one contract, and we are, with the federal government, nearly $2 trillion that they have appropriated, that we are trying to expand our ability to reach out and get grants. Amy and Marin, Marin has taken one of her full-time positions and repurposed that. And so we now have 2 people in the finance department that will focus our attention on grants. And we've also have decided to reach out and contract with certain individuals to write grants for us and help with the administration. We heard from the Auditor General today. We get the money, and there is a lot of red tape. We talk about red tape in federal government, in all kinds of government. There is a lot of red tape with each one of these grants and contracts that we talked about and that was approved today. And so I appreciate your support in our ability to administer those grants and to seek for additional dollars through the grant process that we can utilize in services for Gila County. Mr. Chairman, that's my report for today. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Supervisor Humphrey.
Just got a meeting this afternoon to discuss ideas for the Gila County Fair. I'll hold a Tonto Basin community meeting tonight at 5. We'll attend an animal control officer oath of office ceremony on Friday the 10th. And that's about all for me, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you for that. Supervisor Klein.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So last week was a busy week. I went and attended a White Mountain Apache inauguration for some council members. 1, 2, 3, and 4 districts. They all new electees in there. Well, one of them's been there for a while, but anyway, they were put in place on that day. And then later in the week, we attended the eco trip, like Mr. James talked about. That was a really good trip. Had, I don't know, what was there, like 30 legislatures, somewhere right there. We bused them from Phoenix to Payson, had lunch in Payson. You were there.
Yep.
And it was a good lunch, and I want to thank the mayor of Payson for working with us on that Rumsey Park. And then from there, they had helicopter flights up over C.C. Cragen and part of the rim looking at different watershed projects. We continued on from there to Sholo that evening, and then the next day we turned around and came back in down towards Young to a thinning project. There's a logging operation going in there. And that was really cool. Sit there and watch all that. And then proceeded from there on to the Novo power plant. Looked at it and the sawmill and everything, and then went on back into Sholo and left the next day. That evening, that Saturday evening, I attended the Lincoln Day dinner in Payson. It looked like it pretty well attended, and got to visit with some folks. It was really good. I want to give a quick update on summer work. We have 8 jobs available in Payson, and we've only collected 2 apps for those jobs. And so we're looking for more apps out of the Payson area. And in Young, we have 5 jobs available, and we've only collected 1 app. So we're going to continue to work on that and see what we can do. I'd encourage any of the youth in Payson or Pleasant Valley, either one, to put in for that, either one of those jobs. So we will keep working on it. And I think Kathy's got a lot of the agreements all done and been working with a lot of the other towns and schools. So.
Great. I did notice in the paper today your letter to the editor appealing for the youth to come.
So can I say something on that real quick? Thank you for bringing that up. I did receive an email today from Pete Alshire talking about that, and I really appreciate him reaching out to me. And so hopefully we'll get it all set straight, and it'll be good to go.
Good, very good. And so I was also at the ECO event. The weather was great. SRP was a great participant. They provided a couple of helicopters. I was able to go up and take a tour over the watershed for C.C. Cragen. It's very telling when you can see it from that angle, how rough the terrain is, how difficult thinning or logging would be, the various patches of burnt out areas where you can see the dead standing trees where nothing was harvested, it just went up in smoke, in comparison to where they are thinning. And the thinning is where you take a natural resource and you retain the value of the resource while also increasing the health of the forest, the watershed, reducing fire danger, and all of that. So all of that's all very good. And it also shows you the sheer magnitude of the situation and how large the issue really is. The C.C. Cragen watershed, he said, was only, and I'm working off of memory, 300 and some square miles. Does that sound about right?
It does.
300 and some square miles sounds like a lot. That's not a lot. That's like 10 miles by 30 miles. It's just kind of a little patch area. Yet if there was a catastrophic fire in the area, SRP estimates somewhere around an $80 million damage to the reservoir, 80 to 100 million. So it's by far cheaper to prevent the problem. Also went to the Lincoln Day dinner. Always a good time, a lot of people there. And the food was really good too, so appreciate that. And so that's all I really have to report on. So if there's nothing else, then we will adjourn the meeting. Thank you. And Homero, before you leave.